Hi everyone, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. It's Serena Fazana, and of course it's my absolute favorite day for anybody who follows me. It's Wednesday and it's time to go on the record, and I am thrilled to introduce you to an amazing couple who is changing the world, really changing the world. I know we're starting in Tampa Bay, but one loaf at a time, making sure that people are not hungry. Victoria and Jared Preston, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now first of all, how much do you love the studio here at CB Communications and right now streaming? Isn't it gorgeous?
Yes.
It's fairly nice over here.
Oh yeah, well
like
maybe
it.
a little bit, right? Like, so we were talking
Just
about
a
my,
touch.
just a little bit, right? So we were talking about my background in traditional television news, and Jared said, well, this isn't too bad, and I said, no, it's probably better. Right?
Right? It's a private, custodial situation.
Oh my gosh, I mean, amazing. But you
Thank you
guys
for
are
having
amazing.
us.
No, thank you for being
you
here.
for
And
inviting
you
us.
guys are amazing. So let's talk about Our Daily Bread and this amazing nonprofit organization, Victoria, that you started. And you started this in 2012.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so tell us about it.
Well, it all started with, I had an amazing experience at the Salvation Army one time. It was Memorial Day, I believe, and it was a weekend I was off work. And I wanted to take my children to volunteer for this event and show them people in need and what we can do to help them. And so we went and we served at this event, we distributed food, and I had an epiphany, I think, and it was so amazing to see all these people coming through, and I saw so many people. I never realized there are so many hungry people in this area, so close to our home. And I saw people with no shoes, with no jackets, with a mattress rolled on their back, and I thought, how can it be so many people are hungry in our hometown, and we should do something about it. And then things happened in my life, and I thought, maybe that's what I'm meant to do. And so I started this organization. It wasn't a planned adventure, it just so happened. And I thought maybe I can help some families and do something. And I believe that there was so much food that goes to waste, and that we can just take this food and give it to those people we need. And I didn't really know how or the logistics of it, but I just thought maybe there's a deeper meaning of what I'm supposed to do.
And there's so many questions that I want to ask you about that. And at this point, Jared, right, you are a single mom at the time.
Yeah, that
and
was before I met.
Before you guys met. You have two girls.
Yes.
Right? And where are you from? I love your accent.
Romania, originally.
Oh, Romania. Love your accent.
Thank
okay.
you.
So before we get into more of the story,
Me
I
too.
mean, yeah, don't you? You guys have been married for how long now?
Almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years. Congratulations on that. And you
Thank
have
you.
4 kids together, right?
Yes.
Like that you're
Right.
2 boys, 2
Blended
girls.
together now, yeah.
Three
Love it.
girls, one boy.
Oh, love it. Okay, 3 girls, 1 boy. I stand corrected. So as you sit here, listening to your wife recalling how Our Daily Bread started, what are you feeling right now, Jared? I would imagine a huge sense of pride.
I'm so proud of her. You know, I mean, I just don't know how she has the heart as big as she does to do this work day in and day out for nothing but the good of the community, you know, for no profit, no salary, no. It's a very odd thing. We walk through our home and we have guests. We go through Victoria's office and I say, this is the nonprofit division. And we go to my office and we say, this is the for-profit division. We just joke about that. But it's truly amazing. I mean, to start from a few loaves of bread literally in the back of her trunk with Panera Bread, one of your first partners, to today, you know, there'll be nearly 5 million pounds of food distributed in Tampa Bay to people who really, really need it. And that's through Our Daily Bread's efforts and their partners in Tampa Bay Harvest, and those that we work very closely with the free grocery store. It's incredible. I mean, I'm constantly amazed that they can continually, day in and day out, year in and year out, spend so much time. I mean, there's probably 40 plus volunteers.
Wow.
There are, you know, no paid executive team members. They're just here moving thousands of pounds of food and feeding people. You know, it's incredible.
Well, you know what it was originally?
Yeah, tell me.
Serena?
Yeah,
because
tell me.
originally I just wanted to I always wanted to teach my children. I want to show them other sides of life. And I've always taken them even when we went to this event, I had no idea that one day I will have my own nonprofit organization. It was not planned at all. I just wanted to show them, that we have to help. There are people that need help. There are people that live like this. There are people with no food. And we all need to do something about it. And you don't have to be wealthy. You don't have to be, you can be whoever you are, and you can really help and make a difference for someone else. And so I always engaged them, and I wanted them to be a part of it. And if, my daughter was there and she was distributing the mustard, it doesn't really matter. I just wanted her to see there's people that need something, and we can all do something about it. And so I think that's so important that we teach our children to give back and do something. It doesn't matter what it is. Everybody can do something.
Everybody can do something, and everybody can make
a difference.
And we were talking about our dear friend Don Germaze, who I used to work with at a local television station here. He's also a journalist, retired journalist now, but we would always say, even if you helped one family in your endeavor, your career, then you have made a difference. So
and that's what he said to Victoria.
That is what he told me in the beginning.
He was there in the beginning and helped her start things.
If you want to start this, I will help you, and I'll help you whatever you need. And we started it really. My friends who supported me, who are my board members, they're still the same board members, and they all encouraged me. And together we just started it. It was an organic startup.
Well, I'm sorry, Jared, go ahead.
It goes way back to Romania, though. You have to tell
Yeah.
me
Yes,
about her grandmother. That's where it really started.
Yes, because that was my next question. And I was going to say, the reason why I love this show so much, it's unscripted, unedited, but it's the story. Like, is there a personal story that brought you to this point? Like, what happened in Romania, or how did you grow up?
Yeah, for me personally, we grew up not poor, but we didn't have much. But my parents are educated. They both have university degrees. But in Romania, it was so hard because it was communist regime and nobody could really have much. And when we left Romania, well, my dad left a few years before, we were allowed to leave. And long story short, my mom and my two sisters had to be in Romania for a long time by ourselves, and we didn't even know where our father was at that time, because if my mom would have told me, she would have lost her job. There was a lot of punishment for that, so we didn't know. And then one day we were told that we can get in this overnight train, and they were going to send us to Austria, and my dad would pick us up. So we got into this train with one suitcase, and we didn't have anything at all. And were sent to a foreign country with nothing, with one suitcase. But where I grew up in Romania, my grandma was a big part of my life, and I always she's really my role model. I want to be like her when I get old. But she was always giving back. She was giving back so much to the church where she was involved with. People would come and sit on her stairs, and she would give them a meal, like soldiers. They would just come, and she would just cook for them, and they would sit respectfully on the chairs, and she would bring them something. And she would always give, and she didn't have much to give, but it doesn't matter. That's again, it doesn't matter what you have, what you don't have. You just give something that you have. You always have something that you can give. There's nobody who cannot give anything. Everybody can give something. And so it was always in my heart to give. It makes me happy to give to people and help.
Isn't that something, though, that you remember that your grandmother, especially feeding the soldiers or feeding anybody, as you said?
I love that part of the story. I think it's so neat that these soldiers knew that they could go to these steps and be fed. She had a reputation for that. So she didn't know these people. They would just pass the word. And it's a bit,
I don't even know if they were soldiers. There was some kind of military. Yeah.
And again, a woman that did not have, all this money to give or anything. But again, a role model showing that it does not matter. You can make a difference. Is she still here with us?
No, a long time ago. But she would make little bags of candy, and she would take it to the church, and the children would know, and they would always come around. She would always give them no, we didn't have anything. We didn't have anything like that.
Her name was Victoria.
Oh yeah. That's what I got my name from her.
From her. Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So you really, she's not only, you're her namesake.
Yeah.
Wow. So, all right. So how does Our Daily Bread work then? How does it work? I know you said you started in 2012. You started in the back of your car with loaves of bread from Panera Bread. But now I looked at all your sponsors. You have, Publix, Winn-Dixie. You have so many people that if I start, I'd feel so bad if I left somebody
Right,
out.
it's impossible.
So tell us more about it. Like how
Well,
does
in
it
the
work?
beginning, I was just trying to figure out who can give me foods that they don't need or they don't have a use for at the end of the day. And so I thought Panera Bread and Our Daily Bread, that was a good fit. And that was my first community partner. And they're so wonderful, so giving. And they allowed us to come in at the end of the day and pick up their leftover food that they cannot resell. They're not reselling anything next day. So everything that hasn't been sold, they would give to us. And we would have to commit to being there at the specific hour, specific day to pick up all of their foods. So we started with that, and then I would bring it to who I knew that needed it. Like in the beginning, I supported the Salvation Army a lot, or Metropolitan Ministries, and I would bring them all of that food. So I would pick it up and I would drop it off. So I would do all of that myself. With my children, I would engage them when it was possible. And then I would just go and talk to different, community partners that have food and ask them if they would like to partner with us, if they have something they don't need and they can help us with, because we know who needs it. And we would just pick it up from them and bring it to somebody who needs it.
Now, Jared, had she started this organization by the time you guys had met, and did you watch it grow?
She started the year before. Yeah.
So tell us about
I was involved with some of those early Panera pickups, by the way. I remember some Sunday nights, pickups at Panera.
And I
Which
love
those of you that know me, they're watching, are laughing very, very much right now at my Panera pickups. But it was a great thing.
Well, I love some of the pictures we're showing right now, like on the screen with some of these pickups. So how did you see it grow? So here you guys were starting at the very beginning. So pick up the story from there. Like, how did it grow?
Well, I think Victoria may be a bit like you in that people respond to her. And people want to help
That's so
her.
flattering. Thank
And so quickly, it was I was telling her, I said, love, this is way beyond your capacity to manage right now.
I outgrew my
flow,
truck really fast.
All of a sudden, we've got produce piling up and cantaloupes by the huge container in the garage. This is a bad idea, love. They'd be there for like 2 hours and we get them out. So he needed a facility, needed logistics, needed partners. And so we really began to go out and build some relationships with people that had some of the other components. They had warehouse, they had logistics, they had trucking, refrigerated trucking, and what Victoria had is food. She had lots and lots of food supplied to continually come, more than we could handle. I mean, there should be nobody hungry in this town. Nobody hungry in this town.
Yeah, there's so much food
Our Daily Bread and their
food
partners
everywhere.
will do 5 million pounds of food this year.
Did you hear that?
In Tampa Bay.
5 million pounds.
Right now,
That's
it's on track
amazing.
about 400,000 pounds a month. Wow. And this is very high quality food. I mean, Whole Foods is a partner, Fresh Market, in Publix, and these are organic produce, organic meats. It's it's incredible.
We get a lot of organic
Organic
which is
dairy.
so wonderful for the families that they can't afford to buy. Even now, especially through COVID, and people lost their jobs, so they can pay their rent or their mortgage, and then they, instead of putting it toward their food, they can come to us and we give them the food so they don't fall behind with, paying their bills and so on.
Victoria, one more thing, she's never been focused on building an organization. She's been focused on meeting the need of the people. So when the opportunity came, when Our Daily Bread could partner with Tampa Bay Harvest and create a fixed grocery store with many trucks and many volunteers and distribution to move this out, last thing she wanted to see was food not being provided to people. And so the partnership is it's an ego-free thing, right? It's like, let's take care of people, and Our Daily Bread is only focused on that, which I am so proud of her.
Well, we all are, right? And I love that you mentioned the grocery store, because that's what I wanted to talk about.
You gotta come see it. It's incredible.
Yes, definitely we're going to come see it. So the grocery store, that's where people actually go now to get the food.
Yes.
So can you share about that?
So we switched from, we don't deliver, I still go to underprivileged schools where I like to go and help bring food, like snacks for the children in schools. I like to do that personally. But we don't go to Metropolitan Ministries, Salvation Army, all of these places anymore. That's what I used to do in the beginning when I did it on my own. So now, in collaboration with Tampa Bay Harvest, our food gets picked up in the truck from the community partners, and it gets delivered directly to the grocery store that we started together 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago?
Almost 3.
Almost 3 years ago, and it gets delivered there, and we have other food donors that give to us, and then everything gets organized in the shelves. It's like a mini grocery store. There's a little mini carts, and people come through, and they can choose what they need. But during COVID, we made them pre-made boxes, but normally they would come with a little cart and there's a volunteer that accompanies them and we go through the shelves. So we don't give them...
Concierge shopping.
I know, I was going to say, wow.
Yeah.
And look, here's one of the boxes you probably prepared like during
Yes.
COVID. But so someone...
See, this is at our house. This is, see, Serena, that's too many boxes stacked up.
Oh my gosh, that's
She had to get some
amazing.
trucks.
This is now
That's
at Whole Foods.
amazing.
But
So-
yes, so from there they come and they pick up the food. They come Wednesdays or Saturdays. That's when the distribution days are at Tampa Bay Harvest and Our Daily Bread grocery store. And they come and they, they select the foods they need. And because we don't know what we receive, sometimes we receive a huge donation of watermelons or eggs or chickens. We have so many chickens. We don't know what to do with the chickens. But it's always different.
What is the address of the store? Where is the store located? And it's only one of 3 stores like this in the country, isn't it? Or the world, I think, right?
I don't even know the
It's just
world.
off South Del Mabry.
It's on
And,
Lazy Lane.
Yeah, Lazy Lane on South
North Del
Del Mabry.
Mabry and Lazy Lane at the end of Lazy Lane.
Sorry, North Del Mabry, yes, excuse me.
Can anybody utilize the store? So
Anybody.
So anybody that
If you
needs-
have a bad year, Serena, and you need some, God forbid, you need some chicken.
Yeah.
You need some vegetables, you can pull up right
Please
there.
come.
Listen, there are people that have crisis moments,
Yeah.
There are people that have, the COVID brought a lot of things, into people's lives they never
Yeah.
expected. So there is no criteria, there is no, hey, you need to qualify with this amount of income, that amount of income. No, if you need food, you come.
Then we will help you. But people go in and out through these phases of their lives. Like I had some families who, let's say the husband was injured and he was in a hospital
Right.
for 2 months. So the mom, all of a sudden they fall behind on their mortgage because they live, month to month with their bills, and all of a sudden they can't pay for the mortgage anymore because they have to pay for all the hospital bills. So during this recovery time when they need help, we can help them and they come through and then they grow out of this phase again.
Yes.
And then somebody else needs help. So it's
Well, I love
a
is many,
cycle.
about, I'd say 95%, maybe 90% of the volunteers that are there
Yeah.
every single week. And there are volunteers that work 30 hours a week volunteering.
Oh, more even.
90% of them began by coming and
In the
getting
food
food when they
line.
needed it.
Oh
And
my
they're
God, that
so
gives me
grateful. And they're here
goosebumps.
Yeah,
2 years
that's
later.
the most wonderful.
Feeding people.
And they are
Isn't
so
that
grateful
something?
that we were there for them in that moment, that they want to become a part and help somebody else and give back. So yeah, that
I
makes
honestly
me
have
so happy.
yes, I have tears in my
If you
eyes.
do that, you're going to make me cry.
I'm sorry, I'll try not to-
Yeah.
But that's what the community is about,
Yeah.
right? Like when you receive something and you want to give back, and to hear that 90% of the volunteers.
You'll see it in their eyes when you go through that. You'll see it.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's so much more I want to talk to you guys about, including how you're a power couple. I know you're very humble and modest, but Victoria is able to do so much of this thanks to your support. So we're going to go to
That is
commercial
true.
break, and we will be right back.
Thank you.
I'm Serena Fazan. We're all so busy, and if you're like me, laundry is at the bottom of your to-do list.
If only you could take care of it in a zip, right? Well, I have news for you. With Zips Dry Cleaners in South Tampa, you can. Affordable, fast, and stress-free. That's why Zips is Tampa's favorite dry cleaners. For just 99 cents a pound, Zips will wash and fold your laundry for you. Just drop off your dirty laundry before 9 a.m. and you'll have it back, fresh and clean the very next day. Have dry cleaning too? Drop it off by 9 a.m. and it will be ready the same day by 5 p.m. for just $2.49 an item.
And even more convenient, Zips will drop off your dry cleaning and your laundry for a small added fee. Zips didn't invent dry cleaning, but they perfected it. Stop by and see for yourself.
I'm Serena Fazan, and like most people, my skin is a priority. When you look good, you feel good. That's why I turned to South Tampa Dermatology, a full-service medical and cosmetic dermatology practice. Dr. Flynn and her dream team offer the products, services, and procedures I need to keep my skin healthy so I can perform at my very best, and they can do the very same thing for you. It's affordable, and your confidence is priceless. Just head to stderm.com or call 813-872-9551 to make an appointment. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to On the Record. I'm here with this amazing couple, Jared and Victoria Preston, who have only one of 3 no-cost grocery stores in the entire country. Started Our Daily Bread back in Tampa in 2012. 400,000 pounds of food, you say, that you guys actually collect every month. And anybody who's hungry can go to your wonderful store, and it's, again, on
Lazy Lane in North Del Mabry.
On North Del Mabry. So, we've been talking about the amazing cause for the top of the show, but as many people who follow me and know me know that I am in love with love. So you guys are amazing. So in my post today, I said, power couple, changing the world one loaf at a time. So tell us.
Changing the world.
Changing the world. What's starting in Tampa.
Yes.
You never know who's watching this.
That's
I mean,
true.
your business is in Switzerland, right? So you never know. So let me ask you.
We have plans for
We have plans for
We
that,
do?
actually.
Okay,
now.
see? This is why I love journalism. The questions you ask, you never know what can lead to. Now, Jared, you've been very proud of your wife, and you said, she's done this with, it's all volunteer. She's devoted all her hours. She's been able to be so passionate about this cause. Really, following the example of your beautiful grandmother, may she rest in peace, from Romania. But I have to give you credit that you're enabling your wife to be able to follow her passion.
Yeah,
as
he's,
well.
he's so
my
supportive.
privilege,
Yeah.
my privilege to do anything I can to support her. But it also, for me, it comes back from my childhood. I grew up in a small town in Washington State, and long story short, there was a period where my mom was a single mom, and I didn't see my dad. I saw my dad twice between 11 and 26 years old.
Wow.
And so, we went from kind of a medium, normal lifestyle to one day he was not there, and there was zero support and zero income and zero bills had been paid for months, and we found ourselves in need for a very short period of time. And I remember these ladies coming to our house when I was about 13 in these vans, and I remember very fancy ladies, like you two, right? And they came in, and I remember thinking, these must be the doctors or attorneys' wives or something, And they came in and they brought bags of food and some gifts to us at Christmas time when I was 12 or 13. And we had about a 2-year period where it was
And do you
really,
remember
really
that?
difficult. And I remember the food that came in. I went, wow, this
Yeah.
is amazing. I have all these options. I'd never seen these options in a few years. So I came from, I had an experience like that, and then, had an opportunity to go off and with incredible educational opportunities and build a business. And so I remember exactly what it's like. I know what it's like for people, maybe they're not starving, right? But they maybe eat the same thing 4 meals in a row, right? Or maybe they don't have the nutrition that they should have. And so, I have a heart for that. I don't have as much time as Victoria does to do it, but I want to support any way we can.
But isn't that something like, so, I have said that this show is unscripted, unedited. I never sent in questions. I never did that as a journalist either. But isn't it amazing how something can happen to you when you were a child and it stays with you, and look at you all these years later. And by the way, I grew up in Washington State.
No, where?
Yeah. So I was born in India and moved to Seattle, but then my father worked for the governor. So I grew up in Olympia.
I grew up in the Olympic Peninsula, Port Angeles and Sequim area, over across from Victoria, in the little town of Sequim.
Yes.
And then we moved to the big town of Port Angeles, 14,000 people. And then we moved to Bellevue.
Well, Bellevue's huge right now.
Right,
I mean,
right,
now
it's big.
Bellevue is practically taking over Seattle, they say.
Yeah.
So isn't that something, though?
Yes.
I mean,
Small
what a
world.
small world.
But childhood is so. I'll tell you a
Yeah.
little story that you
Yeah.
will love.
Okay,
Like I just remembered it when I heard him tell his story. So when we moved from Romania to Germany, and we had no home, we had no car, we had nothing. We had a suitcase. And I had a little teddy bear that I was allowed to bring that I still have, my only toy. I never had a doll in my life. But we moved to Germany and we didn't have anything. So we had some wonderful people from a church that helped us and donated some furniture. I'll tell you how it all turns around now. Donated furniture. I don't think we ever received food donations, if I don't remember receiving that. But we didn't have anywhere to sleep, so my sisters and I, we slept in one little room with 3 beds, and we didn't have anything. So one day we received, somebody came with a bag of donations for the girls, me and my 2 sisters. So in this bag was this game. You're going to love this story. This game that I don't know if they still make it, but it's like the fake little grocery store. It has like the little cardboard boxes with the cornflakes and the little fake tomatoes and all of that. And I loved that game. I used to play with that game all the time. I'd fill the little grocery cart, and there was all of these fake little groceries, and there was so many different kinds. Like, you know, we have, I mean, we were never hungry, but we didn't get to choose what we wanted to eat. Whatever my mom made, that was the dinner. And so I was playing with that game, and I loved that game so much. And I was telling our pastor Sixto and Susan, who are our dear friends, and they run this entire
Partners at
operation at
Tampa
Tampa
Bay
Bay
Harvest,
Harvest.
yeah.
But we've become close, dear friends with them. I said, this was my experience, and I remember this little fake grocery store game that I played with. And little did I know, one day we're going to have this grocery store and
Isn't
have
that
all of the
something?
food and tomatoes up to the ceiling and eggs everywhere. But I remember that somebody donated that and how much I love that game. So when I teach my children, those games that you never play with, those shoes that you never wear, we're going to bring it somewhere, and I'll take them with me, and we go somewhere and we bring it to somebody, and some child there is going to love that so much because they cannot afford to have that.
Oh my gosh, it gives me goosebumps, and you never know how that game
You
or how that
never
doll
know
or how that toy
how they'll
is
remember
going
that
to
for like
yes.
forever maybe. So you just don't know the impact you can make. You don't know.
And imagine, like, as you said, you're playing with this game, and now years later, you actually do have a grocery store that's filled to the gills, right?
I know, I love that.
So how did the two of you meet?
We met. I had a client of mine that I became a good friend, and he asked me to be the best man at his wedding. And Victoria was the maid of honor.
No.
Really?
I think I'm gonna, really?
Really?
Yeah, really.
Okay, so you had never met before, like you were the
No,
best
we
man.
never met before. We'd never spoken before. We never met.
Okay, so then, so you laid eyes on her, and what happened?
It was a very difficult situation. I mean, it was amazing, you know. And Victoria is a very special individual. I'd never met a creature like her before, and still have not. But you know, we both have been married. We both had children. We both had a lot of things to balance, and you know, so we took our time in balancing that. But then, you know, I moved from Charleston to Tampa. And I can tell you, if it wasn't for Victoria, I would probably never be in Tampa, Florida. So.
Wow, but it's it's the power of love, right?
There's
Like
nothing more powerful.
like everything we've talked about.
Nothing more powerful.
Love from the grandmother, love from your mom, the love that brought the two of you
Yeah, that's
together.
it, for sure.
You know, and so if you were to give people advice, and you have been throughout the show, of course, but people advice on if you have a passion and you want to pursue that passion, what would it be?
To not be scared of, to not fear that there is something that you cannot do just because you're not prepared. You don't have a plan. I mean, it's good to have a plan, but sometimes when you have the passion and you don't have a plan, it can still work out so wonderfully. Like it happened to me. I had zero plan. I can tell you I had zero plan to have a nonprofit organization. I had no idea that I was going to do this one day. But I had the passion of helping people. I always loved to do that. And you don't have to always have all the pieces in place. Sometimes, maybe it's even better when you don't, because then you follow your heart and you meet certain people, and one thing leads to another. And I've actually been blessed. I met some wonderful people who really supported me from the beginning. And so it all unfolded. We met more community partners, we met other donors, and then through his business, Obsidian International Business, we actually were able to then engage.
Helped us grow a bit. So we have an asset trading firm, Obsidian International. I've had for 20 plus years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We were able to bring some significant, villas and private islands and yachts that we donated at charity events and donated. Actually, we've never donated one and raised money for you because we're always busy collecting food. But we've donated them for Ronald McDonald House and the American Heart Association, and St. Joseph Children's Hospital, and Broderick Family Foundation, and we raised maybe $500,000 in the last several years just from assets we donated to people to experience. And now with Idonius, our Swiss company, I mean, we have a global reach. So we have a kind of a new vision for the next chapter, and that is, we've done business in 33 countries to date in the high-value asset trading business, and we will expand that dramatically over the next several years. And we just think that we should find a way to directly give back in every market where we do business. Our team is...
That is my dream idea.
We don't want to just go.
Amazing.
We don't want to just go do business in the Caribbean or do business in the Fijian Islands and just make money and then move on. I think we can leave a footprint that lasts much longer, you know, like those ladies did in my life. You know, now 35 years later, I remember them pulling in the driveway. I remember how it felt. You know, I remember the man who met and drove me from Seattle to Texas to the Marine Military Academy. I didn't know him. He volunteered to drive me 2,000 miles because we didn't have the money for airfare, you know?
The person did that, and it forever.
I remember 3 years later when I found out that I'd never had a scholarship to that school, that he had paid $100,000 for me to attend it.
Now you're really going to
And he
make me cry.
changed generations, right? So he changed generations because of what he did. And so we're trying to, one loaf at a time, one city at a time, hopefully one continent at a time, do some much bigger things. So, you know, be on the lookout for that. I think we're going to have a more global approach over the next 5 to 10 years because we're kind of forced to with my business. And Victoria was made for this. So, you know,
I
she's
think that we
going to
just
be
don't know the
incredibly to help
impact we
us.
can make. Like when he says that the ladies that drove in the drive, I personally drove in a family's driveway right before Christmas, and because somebody told me that they had no food right before Christmas, and there were several little children, mom alone, and there was no sign of Christmas at all. I thought I was going for the food, but then there was no sign of Christmas, so I had to go back with the Christmas.
Well,
Let
me give a direct story that you may have forgotten
in there
that I remember that Blake told us.
And we went in the fridge, and to put food in the fridge, and there was nothing in the fridge. But that was a different family. You tell that story.
The story. So we had one of our board members, Blake, call Victoria, and Victoria called and we needed to have food out of this house right away. We knew that this mother had a situation where she had children, did not have enough food, and so quickly went out, and Blake went out, and the cabinets were empty, the refrigerator was empty, filled them up. Later that day, Child Protective Services came to that house, and because they'd heard that there was not food, and it was a very short, this is not an irresponsible mother, this was not a mother who wasn't trying to take care of her children, there was just an acute situation she was dealing with. And you know, in a few hours later, it would have been a different result. Those children would be somewhere else.
Oh my gosh!
You know,
so when they arrived, there was food.
You know, there's millions of pounds of food. We can feed people. You know, I love what they do.
Well, what an honor.
So whatever we can do to support, we're going to continue to, but also take it on a more global basis.
Which we're so excited to watch and see.
No,
So right now, what can people do? I mean, I know there's people who are probably watching, and I know I have tears in my eyes too. I don't mean to make you cry. I'm really trying really hard not to cry. People are really like, don't cry. But what can people do now? And I know as you both said, you get hundreds of pounds of food in, but we have to continue that because there's always a need, right? So what can people do?
We do need monetary donations that we rarely ask for,
because managing that process now is becoming quite significant. You know, the logistics. It's
and also
major.
we help a lot of other issues, like for example, when I go to the schools and I hear that their children are cold, or for example, then I meet with the guidance counselors, which I like to do, and then they tell me what the need is, and then I love to go and fulfill that need. So then I need the money, so I go to Target and purchase 50 zip hoodies, and I bring it to them. So for that purpose, we always, of course, can use monetary donations, and they can do that on our website, our daily bread, tampabay.org, tampabayharvest.org.
And volunteers.
And volunteers.
It's a very rewarding experience.
Yeah.
Well, believe me, doing this show with people like you is so rewarding, and it reminds me of why I wanted to be a journalist in the first place. So
thank you so much for having us.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much,
Thank
guys.
you for inviting us to come out here.
Oh my God! I mean, I have to bring you back because we have to talk about the full scholarship to the school. I'm like, the guy that drove you. I'm
It was a game changer. I didn't even know he did it until after he passed away.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So
but he changed he changed like 3 generations at least, right?
Absolutely. So
that man took me from Sequim, Washington, and this time next week, I'll be at the Family Office Summit, Retosa Family Office Summit in Monte Carlo with 450 of the wealthiest families in the world, teaching them about what we do with value for value exchange and asset trading in Idonius, because of what that man did, right?
Is why you're at
28 years ago.
It's amazing.
It's just, so we can do something with one person's life.
Everybody can do something. It doesn't matter how small it is. You can give a little game that your child never looks at anymore, and it can make some other child's entire summer. Like everybody can do something. Doesn't matter. You don't have to do a big thing. You can do a small thing, and it can be so wonderful for somebody else.
What a powerful message. Such a powerful message, and what a great way to end the show, right? Wait till you look at this, because this brings us to the end of this episode of On the Record, and you can follow me on multiple social media platforms. I love when the guys bring this up, because I didn't realize that I was on all these social media platforms.
It's a lot.
But I know. We would love for you to share this, and if you ever would like to see a guest on the show, please feel free to email me or reach out on social media. I'm always out and about in the community. In fact, someone wanted the two of you on the show, and that's why you're here, which is great. And again, dream it, shoot it, stream it. I love bringing you out the studios, CP Communications, Red House Streaming. Again, it's my dream to have a show, and we can all do it. We
You're
can
making dreams come true.
Yes, we can all
And
follow
you're making
our
a great
passion.
impact sharing with people. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Using your
guys so
platform.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, and thank you for inviting us.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a great day.
Have a great day.